Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's both fascinating and complex. Countries with significant anti-American sentiment. You know, those places on the map where if you yell, "America, what's up?" you're more likely to hear back, "Not a damn thing, thanks to you." So, put on your most neutral and culturally sensitive travel clothes, because we're about to explore the reasons behind this disapproval. Because frankly, the world's a messy place, and sometimes, understanding why someone's throwing a tomato at your head is the first step to maybe, just maybe, getting them to throw a slightly riper tomato next time. We begin our journey in the Palestinian Territories, a place where the phrase American foreign policy is often muttered with the same fondness as root canal without anesthetic. The US has been a staunch supporter of Israel, often to the perceived detriment of the Palestinians. This has led to widespread resentment, with many Palestinians feeling like they're caught in the middle of a very one-sided boxing match. And if that wasn't enough, the US labels Hamas, the group governing Gaza, as a terrorist organization. Now, while there's no denying Hamas has its issues, let's just say this designation hasn't exactly helped win hearts and minds. The result? Well, imagine your roommate constantly eating your leftovers, playing loud music at 3 a.m., and then calling the cops on you for using their shampoo. You'd probably be a tad miffed, right? That's the Palestinian relationship with America, in a very simplified, hummus-free nutshell. Next, we travel east to Pakistan, a country where the phrase, "the only thing we hate more than America is running out of chai," might actually be a real saying. Now, the US and Pakistan have a complicated past, like that couple who broke up, got back together, and now just passive-aggressively leave dirty dishes in the sink. One major point of contention? Drones. The US loves them, Pakistan not so much. Those unmanned aerial vehicles, while effective at targeting militants, have a nasty habit of occasionally targeting weddings, funerals, and the occasional family picnic. It's like trying to swat a fly with a sledgehammer. Effective, sure, but not exactly subtle. Then there's the whole Osama bin Laden situation. The US found him chilling in Pakistan, took him out, and then, in a move that can only be described as diplomatically tone-deaf, didn't bother telling Pakistan beforehand. Imagine if your roommate threw a party at your place, invited the cops, and then forgot to mention it to you. Awkward, right? Add in perceived interference in domestic affairs, and it's no wonder many Pakistanis view the US as a bit of a bull in a geopolitical china shop. Loud, clumsy, and prone to breaking things. Our next stop is Lebanon, a country with a long and complicated history, beautiful beaches, and a deep-seated distrust of American foreign policy. Some of this stems from Lebanon's proximity to Israel and the whole US being best friends forever thing. But there's another player in this geopolitical drama, Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a militant group operating in Lebanon, and the US, in its infinite wisdom, has labeled them a terrorist organization. Now, Hezbollah is a complex group with a lot of local support, so imagine the US waltzing in and slapping a terrorist HQ sign on their community center. Not exactly the best way to win hearts and minds. This, coupled with a general feeling that the US doesn't quite understand the nuances of the region, has led to a certain level of anti-American sentiment. It's like that friend who always offers unsolicited advice, but their only experience with relationships is watching The Bachelor. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're heading to Yemen, a country currently experiencing what can only be described as a greatest hits compilation of geopolitical nightmares. We're talking civil war, famine, humanitarian crisis, the works. And guess who gets a starring role in this tragedy? You guessed it, America. The United States has been conducting military operations in Yemen for years, including drone strikes and the always popular detention of Yemeni citizens at Guantanamo Bay. Now, while the US argues these actions are necessary to combat terrorism, many Yemenis see it as adding fuel to an already raging fire. It's like trying to put out a campfire by dumping gasoline on it. Well-intentioned, perhaps, but ultimately disastrous. Add in Yemen's dire economic situation, and the fact that many Yemenis feel like they're caught between a rock and a very heavily armed hard place. And it's no wonder anti-American sentiment is running high. It's like that friend who keeps offering you unsolicited financial advice while simultaneously maxing out your credit. Our next stop is Iraq, a country that's become synonymous with the phrase, "What could possibly go wrong?" Remember the 2003 invasion? Weapons of mass destruction? Turns out it was more like weapons of mass distraction, because those WMDs were about as real as a unicorn riding a dragon while juggling puppies. Spoiler alert, not very real. The invasion and the subsequent years of conflict left a lasting scar on Iraq, both literally and figuratively. Many Iraqis blame the US for the instability and violence that continues to plague the country. It's like that friend who crashes at your place for the weekend, trashes the place, and then leaves you with the cleaning bill and a lingering sense of existential dread. So yeah, not exactly surprising that anti-American sentiment is alive and well in Iraq. Next up, we're venturing into the thrilling world of US-Iran relations, which, if we're being honest, are about as stable as a Jenga tower built on a roller coaster. We're talking decades of political tension, enough sanctions to make a dictator blush, and a nuclear program that's got everyone feeling a little on edge. The US and Iran haven't exactly been on speaking terms since 1980, which in diplomatic terms, is like the silent treatment but on a global scale. And like any good silent treatment, it's filled with passive-aggressive posturing, whispered rumors, and the occasional strongly worded letter to the UN ad, in the fact that the US loves to play regime change roulette in the Middle East, and it's no wonder many Iranians view America with a healthy dose of skepticism, if not outright hostility. It's like that ex who keeps showing up at your work unannounced, talking about how much they've changed, while simultaneously keying your car. Not exactly the best way to win back an ex or a nation for that matter. Hold on to your Ushankas, comrades, because we're heading to Russia, a land of vodka, bears, and a deep-seated distrust of anything remotely American. The United States and Russia have a history that's about as cozy as a Siberian winter, but things have been particularly frosty since the whole annexing Crimea incident. The United States wasn't exactly thrilled with Russia's little land grab, and they responded with the international equivalent of a strongly worded letter sanctions. Lots and lots of sanctions. Of course, this didn't exactly sit well with Russia, who saw it as the United States meddling in their affairs, which, to be fair, they kind of were. Add in a healthy dose of geopolitical rivalry, a dash of election interference accusations, and a sprinkle of good old-fashioned propaganda. And it's no wonder anti-American sentiment is alive and well in Russia. It's like trying to order a Big Mac in Red Square. You might get a few confused stares, a lecture on the evils of capitalism, and possibly a borscht-stained napkin thrown your way. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because we're about to navigate the turbulent skies of US-Turkey relations, a relationship that's gone from awkward Thanksgiving dinner to full-blown food fight in the past few years. Turkey's been feeling a bit put out by America's support for Kurdish groups in Syria, groups that Turkey considers a threat. It's like if your best friend started hanging out with your arch nemesis, the one who stole your prom date and framed you for that unfortunate incident with the principal's car. Add in disagreements over regional policies, perceived US interference in Turkish domestic affairs, and a dash of good old-fashioned authoritarianism, and it's no wonder anti-American sentiment is on the rise in Turkey. It's like trying to order a kebab in English in Istanbul. You might get a delicious meal, but it'll probably come with a side of side-eye and a healthy dose of learn the local language, buddy. Hold on to your pyramids, folks, because we're heading to Egypt, a land of ancient wonders and complex US relations. The US and Egypt have a long, complicated history, like a toxic on-again, off-again couple. The US has supported strongmen in Egypt like Hosni Mubarak until the Arab Spring. Then the US criticized the Muslim Brotherhood's democratic government. This has led to significant anti-American sentiment in Egypt. Our final stop takes us to Panama, best known for its famous canal and delicious coffee. The US and Panama have a history of military interventions and political meddling. Panama's not thrilled with America's stance on China's Belt and Road Initiative. Add in historical control of the canal and anti-American sentiment is bubbling up. It's like ordering coffee in English. You'll get it, but with a side of, "We speak Spanish here, amigo." And there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of 10 countries where anti-American sentiment is about as common as a Starbucks in a major city. Remember, these views are shaped by complex historical and political factors, and understanding them is the first step to, not being terrible global citizens. Now, we're not saying America needs to go full-blown apology tour, handing out free hugs and bald eagles like it's going out of style, but maybe, just maybe, a little self-awareness and a willingness to listen to other perspectives wouldn't hurt. After all, the world's a big messy place and we're all in this together, whether we like it or not. So the next time you're tempted to judge another country's opinion of America, remember, there's always more to the story.